Back in 2017, I made the journey from Moscow to Hong Kong by train. Took about 2 weeks. Now that I've completed it, and now I'm an expert, I've decided to make a video detailing how I did it, and if you're curious, you can go from Russia to Mongolia to China yourself. And if you're finding me for the first time, I make videos mostly about living in Hong Kong and hopefully some of the Asia region. So if that interests you, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get my notifications for the live streams that I'm going to begin doing on a regular basis, make sure you tap the bell. Apart from this video, I actually made 2 series, and this is the last episode of the second series. But there's an entire first series dedicated to planning the journey. So if you want to watch something a little bit more in depth, there's like 12 episodes detailing what I did to start the journey. I'm going to shortcut a lot of that simply by saying you can go to realrussia.co.uk and they'll handle everything for you. This feels like an advert, maybe it is, but they don't know I'm talking about them. I just feel that since I did everything through them, got the visas, got the itinerary, got the tickets and the timetabling, I feel like they should get a shout out because they did all the hard work basically, and it was as simple as just me sending my passport and then dealing with them online via email and then paying for it through an online form. In total, I spent about $570 on visas. That's not going to cost you that much if you're not from the UK, because I do know that if you're an American, especially Mongolia, you don't need a travel visa for Mongolia if you're staying for less than 7 days. And I think the USA has an agreement with China, so you don't pay as much as like I did. But I'm telling you $570 because then you get an estimate of like the high end of what you could pay, just in case you decide to go to, say, North Korea. Just to make it a little bit easier, Real Russia have a country selector, so if you go to their website and tap on visas and then mouse over to applying for a visa, you can actually see a breakdown of your region of the world and how those visas apply to you. All I did was just send my passport to the UK for most of the visas. I had to do some here in the Russian consulate, but other than that, Real Russia will take care of everything. What I do suggest as a first tip is give yourself a good budget. So budget some extra days in Russia just in case you overstay by missing a train. You don't want to overstay in Russia. So for example, I arrived in Russia on the 27th, but I opened up the visa for the 26th just in case I arrived early because I changed my travel plans. And then when I left Russia, I was scheduled to leave by the 12th, when in fact I left by the 7th. So 5 days was more than enough just in case I missed a train. With all that said, let's see what I got for my money. All the tickets are basically in this style and format, and Real Russia will deliver them to you, and wrapped around them is an English itinerary list showing your departure times, travel times, and then the dates, so that you don't make any mistakes because you're trying to translate the Russian ticket, which makes no accommodations for English speakers. Okay, so this is what a Russian ticket looks like. As you can see, there's barely any English on there. Probably only my name is in English. You can see here the train number, the 706, the date and the time. We can make that out. And then whatever 16C means must mean the carriage. After figuring out the Russian departure timetable listings, you have to make your way to your particular carriage on what are very long trains. Produce your passport alongside your ticket and you're good to get on. Hello.
E-passport.
Okay. Я не говорю по-русски пока. Okay.
Сюда.
Okay, this side.
Да.
Okay, thank you. If you are leaving from Moscow, make sure you stock up on some real food before you go. I left from Kursk station and they have a mall opposite, so it was possible to get a warm meal. Most small stations the train stops at, for quick stoppages and to stretch your legs, only provide snacks of the unhealthy kind and dried noodles. And, in Russia, they don't make much accommodation for vegans or vegetarians. When you eventually get to your cabin, and remember this is a second-class cabin, as you were 3 other people, you'll find bedding is provided for you. When I got on the train and the train journey began, the lady, also the conductor and the cleaner of the carriage, this particular carriage, gave me this. So this is for when my chair is no longer needed and it needed as a bunk instead. And then here are some pillows when I'm sleeping as well.
On some trains along the route, you'll also be provided with slippers, toothbrushing kit, some wipes, and on my last leg of the journey in Russia, I was provided with a cooked meal as part of the price. Because everything was in Russian, any of these additions seemed entirely provided at random. Your second class journey may differ, however. If you're concerned about storage space, don't be. If you're concerned about storage space, don't be. If you're concerned about storage space, don't be. There's loads here. None of my train cabins from Moscow to Hong Kong were ever full, and on the beginning of the journey in Russia, there were more people arriving and leaving during the days and nights for the stoppages along the line than at the end. On the way to Irkutsk, in fact, some cabins from the train were closed off entirely as it wasn't carrying a full load. I found myself without company for the most part, and as I was travelling alone, I certainly feasted on boredom. And while it seems impossible to believe me when I say this, because of the variety of landscapes out there, staring out of the window only helps so much. But not on that side. The best part, of course, is that your cabin is going to be super spacious when nobody else is with you. But when you are with company, the table is meant to be shared by everyone, and if you're on the bottom bunk, it's generally good etiquette to get up and convert your bed back into seating for everyone to enjoy. On all the Russian trains, there was only ever one plug socket in the cabin, but there was also an extra AC socket outside in the corridor, almost one socket for every 2 cabins. I noticed that Russian trains, especially on different legs of the journey, would all differ slightly when it came to offering AC. Of course, bring a travel adapter and expect to share with others. Some may even consider you a hero if your adapter has extra USB ports, as most people will just want to charge their phones. Since I live in a 3-pronged world, in the UK and Hong Kong, it amazes me how the European system has 2 prongs and they never fall out. I don't understand it. It's really weird. It seems like it's the most unsafe thing. They're rattling. They may keep me awake at night. The train crew that greet you at every boarding of the train will be on hand and reside in the same carriage as you. Almost none of them speak English, so learn how to say "I don't speak Russian" at the earliest opportunity to let them know you're a foreign traveller. If you want to learn how to say "I don't speak Russian," then say "Я не говорю по-русски пока." It's that easy. That way? Oh, 11. Okay. I thought 4. Okay. Okay. Huh? But I have to go. Oh, in and. Thank you. Which number 1? Okay. You can actually squat on this toilet if you wanted to, just not on the plastic bit. So you got the feet, and there is the outside world. This is a really clean toilet, much better than the Russian ones. Lovely clean sink, shaver. We have a washing room, a squat toilet. Cool. This train also has a dining car. Look how big it is. I don't have any money, so I'm just sat here with the menu. That's the bar. It's more bar. And this is the dining room. Ah, great. Thank you. Okay. This, it's okay.
Ah, okay.
Thank you. Bye bye. Octopus and broccoli with rice. It's here that I want to talk a little bit about timings. I just want to stress that on any itinerary that you have, make sure to check the times of how long you're staying in the city and then how long you're actually traveling on a train for in between cities. So for me, Moscow to Ekaterinburg was 27 hours, and that was a fun ride, and we just zipped across that part of Russia. But things started to drag around the Irkutsk region. For some reason, trains to Irkutsk travel really slowly, so it feels like it could have been a faster train ride. And then when you leave Irkutsk to go to Mongolia, it's a 31-hour train ride on paper, but you're not traveling for 31 hours as such. You're actually waiting for 8 hours at border control. You spend 4 hours on the Irkutsk side, and then you get to wait another 4 hours on the Mongolian side while they check your passports and documents on either sides. So really, it's like a 23-hour train ride. Well, that's us finally leaving. 4 hours of being in wherever this place is called. Wickham. That's what it sounds like, phonetically anyway, to me. What a joke. Bye, random place. So just be careful, check those things, and make sure that you don't feel like you're not visiting each city. Give yourself enough time. That's something that I didn't do. So I went to 5 Russian cities, and I was spending a day and a half in each one. What I should have done was just maybe cross off 2 of the cities on my list so that I could have more time in the remaining 3 cities. Not 2, not 4, 6 beds. Get to climb higher. There's no electricity in here. It's out there instead. No door for privacy. Ooh. I mean, imagine if there's like 10 cabins in this one carriage. That means there's 60 people here. That means if you're trying to sleep, you've got to convince the other 59 or hope that the other 59 are gonna while you're sleeping. Now in Russia, they are phasing out the third-class carriages called Platzkart. They are being seen as a relic and an end of an era for Russian train travel once they have been phased out. There are 2 links in the description down below which discuss the social aspects to them if you're interested. Third class, of course, is going to be cheaper, and many people see it as a more real experience if you're travelling across Russia and if you want to meet new people. I didn't personally have a problem with meeting people in second class, as we were all still curious about one another. But when I booked with Real Russia, third class was still an option to me, and maybe it still will be for you in limited circumstances. But the price difference to me wasn't worth the assumption that I wouldn't get much sleep sleeping with potentially 60 other people in the same carriage. In China, however, the population is 10 times greater than what it is in Russia, so I can see them keeping third class, so it's definitely an option available still for you if you decide to want to save some cash. I met a German guy on my way back to Hong Kong, and he had a whole cabin to himself, so he paid next to nothing for third class, and he had his own privacy. Thank you for watching this far. We're basically at the end of the video because, well, we are, and I've only got a few more things to mention. One of them is about SIM cards. I recommend that you buy Megaphone. It is a little quick tip in this video, but when I was traveling, I was with a lady in the cabin, and I was always comparing phone signals because she was on a different network, and I don't remember the other operator's name. But if I had 4G, she would have like 3G or intermittently 4G as well. And if I was on 3G, she'd have 2G. And if I had 2G, she'd have nothing. So Megaphone always seemed to be better than her phone. And it was a different network. It was the next big network in Russia. And you can't go wrong anyway with Megaphone. It's like $9 for unlimited 4G across the whole of Russia. But with regards to getting SIM cards in Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia, and in Beijing, the capital of China, don't worry about this type of SIM card you get, because any network is going to give you fast access to the internet, obviously VPN required, and it's super cheap, but it's finding them that's going to be a little bit more difficult. But in Ulaanbaatar's main train station, there is a little shop, opens at about 9 o'clock, it's in the premises of the train station, and in Beijing, there's nothing inside the train station except KFC and McDonald's, and you have to go across the road, and there's like an electronic shop which sells SIM cards. Otherwise, oddly for Beijing, with it being a capital city, it doesn't really cater to Westerners that much. So unless you've got some street skills, like I do, because I live in Hong Kong, and it's almost like China,
you'll get by fine with what I've just said. I hope you found this video interesting, especially if you're thinking of traveling by train across Eurasia. If you have any other questions that you think I might have left out but I'd still be of use to you, then drop them in the comments below. Finally, thanks for watching. Again, if you are new to the channel, my channel is mostly about Hong Kong, and sometimes I do some reviews and I do some interviews with people living in Hong Kong. If you want to try and find out a little bit more about what life is like here, then definitely smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. That's what everyone says, isn't it? Smash. And then you might also be interested to know that I have a podcast. It's called Hello from Hong Kong. That's also in the show notes. And I think that's it, really. I've explained everything that I can possibly think of, and I've explained the channel. So I hopefully will see you in another episode. Thank you for watching again. Bye bye. Ducky Chan.